Good morning, and thanks, Ben, for having me on. Really appreciate this opportunity to talk on your show. And wow, just someone asking me to do this is a big honor, and made me reflect on my years in the business. It really opened my eyes, and we'll get into that later. But my name is Joe Bazan. I'm a solo agent with an admin based in Dallas, Texas. I work out of the Dallas Preston Road. That's my office. I office with Ben. I'm originally from Houston, Texas. I came to Dallas in 1994, straight out of college. I've been in the real estate and mortgage business space for a combined 30 years. And like I said, when you asked me to do this, I didn't realize it's been that long. So I'm an old guy, probably with old ways of doing things, but I originated loans starting in 1994, and I became a realtor in 2009. Just a little bit of my background in numbers. Last year, I did about 20 million in sales, closed 61 units. I also originated around 11 million in volume on the loan side. I still originate home equity loans, refinances, purchases from my previous buyers. You could say I'm a dual threat in the industry. I do both. I do real estate and I do mortgages. So based on this little exercise, is that my 30 years in the business has a theme, and the theme has been constant change. And I think that is very relevant to what is happening in our market today. Okay. And that's something I want to touch on today, because markets change, markets shift, there's disruption. We can't avoid it. We can't stop it. We just have to adapt. And we have to have the courage and the will to change and the will to adapt. We got to figure out how to work better, work smarter, work harder. And that's something that I've realized that I've had to do often in my 30 years. So just to kind of get started on my career, where it all began was I began getting interested in the mortgage business when I was in college. And the reason why is because of a bad experience my parents had purchasing a brand new home, a brand new Syntex home. They were purchasing in Frisco, Texas, Plantation Resort. They had bad service, bad communication. I was helping them in the transaction because their English wasn't strong. I was helped translate the paperwork, help them provide documents. But it was just a poor process for them to purchase that property. And honestly, it pissed me off. Okay, there's no other way to put it. I was upset at how my loved ones were being treated so poorly and disrespectful. So it kind of opened my mind to say, hey, after college, I could do this. I should do this, because how many people are in my parents' situation that have a hard time with the language, or just a first-time buyer that doesn't understand the system and get treated this poorly? So after college, I decided to take a job as a mortgage lender. And that was my first job, straight out of college. I remember it was a job where it paid me no benefits, no salary, no hourly. It was 100% commission. And I'll be honest, I barely knew what that was, but I took it anyway. So I remember telling my parents the job that I got. And they looked at me like I was crazy. Like, oh, I spent all this money on college for you to get a job where they don't pay you? Yep, that's right. I actually did take a job like that. And so I came to Dallas as a mortgage loan originator. I remember my first day on the job still, where I met with my manager, and he handed me 2 books. He said, read these books and go get them. And I looked down, and these books were basically loan manuals. They were the Fannie Mae and Freddie FHA loan manuals. And he said, read them and go get them. And I specifically remember in my mind saying to myself, go get who? I had no idea. So basically I was thrown to the wolves. So again, a big change in my life from going from a college frat kid to the real world where if I didn't work hard, I didn't learn, I didn't do the things I had to do to make money, I wasn't going to make anything. So I became a student. I studied, I took seminars, I found training because in 1994, there wasn't a lot of training back there. There wasn't a lot of support in our industry, both real estate and mortgages. I remember pulling up to my first real estate office to go in, and I'm going to age myself here. It was Henry S. Miller, okay, when they were on the residential side. I pulled up. I think I waited 30 minutes in my car, nervous, and then I left. I was too scared, couldn't do it. So I eventually found the will and the strength and the courage to walk in that door and ask for the business. So that was my first job. And so I continued to learn the mortgage market. And then I worked as a full-time lender from 1994 to 2009. Okay. And then in 2000, after learning the business for about 6 years, I decided, hey, I'm an expert. I'm going to go open up my own mortgage broker shop. So I did. I got my mortgage broker's license. I opened up a shop here in Dallas. I hired 8 loan officers. I had support staff, and wow, things were great. Okay. But as my thing continued, things started to change. In the early 2000s, if y'all remember, we had the dot-com bust. Okay. That was a big disruption. That was a minor recession, but it did disrupt us. And then I remember 2000, September 11th happened. Okay. I remember right after that, phones started to ring. People were backing out of contracts. Everybody was afraid. The world had changed. So again, I was in another situation of change. Okay. What do we do? So basically, I had to adapt. And then we adapted. We worked through that. And then the big one hit, 2008 and 2009. You remember that. That was the great collapse. Our mortgage and real estate industry basically collapsed, and it felt like it happened overnight. Okay. Everything happened so quickly. Banks closed. There was no mortgage demand. There was no real estate sales. Foreclosures were popping up everywhere. I mean, our industry was toxic. I remember nobody wanted to buy a house. Nobody wanted to sell a house. I remember realtors didn't even want listings because they couldn't sell them. Nobody was out there. So it was definitely a punch in the gut. So at that point, I realized, wow, another change happened. And it's not what happens to you in life. It's what you do or what you do or what actions you take after it happens to you. That's what really matters. Okay, not what happened. What do you do afterwards? What kind of actions, what kind of mindset do you have afterwards? So I realized there was no one coming to help me. There was no cavalry coming over the hill. Okay, we're going to help you. We're going to save your industry. I had to save myself. So at that point, I was starting a young family. I had a newly married. I had a 5-month baby girl. So I said, I have to reinvent myself. So at that point, I decided to become a realtor. In 2009, I became both. I became a realtor and a lender. And so I made up my mind right there that this market was not going to beat me. I was going to do whatever it took to succeed. I made my mindset strong, and I told myself, failure is not an option here. Okay. You have to do what you have to do. So I took action. Then I made a plan. I said, okay, it's 2009. People still need housing. Somebody does. So I found a niche. At that point, my niche was first-time home buyers. Why them? Well, because they didn't experience the mortgage collapse. They didn't have a home to lose. They didn't know really about what just happened because they never felt it. Okay. So I decided to target them. I came up with a plan. I told them, I showed them about the values of owning a home. I found niche financing products for them. I began to coach them to tell them, hey, look, even though the market's down, this is the perfect time for you to buy. Okay. History still tells us the best investment is still real estate. So I started working with a lot of first-time home buyers because they were the only ones at that point that were brave enough to come back into the market and start buying up these foreclosures. So I started to kind of coach them. And at that point, I started to realize that buyers are kind of like sellers. They're really not, price isn't the only thing they're looking for. Or in this case, the best rate. I mean, we were all back there thinking, oh, everybody wants the best rate. Well, no, buyers want options, just like sellers. So at that point, I said, I need to come up with a system to train these buyers and give them the options they need. So they wanted flexible payment plans. Well, I learned how to do buy downs, 3-2-1 buy downs, 2-1 buy downs to give them an initial low payment start rate. And then as they became accustomed to owning that house, they would grow into that payment. A lot of buyers said, look, I want a house, but I don't have the funds to close. So I went out and found down payment assistance programs, 100% financing, grant programs, bond programs, because those were really big during that area. I helped with credit repair. I explained them how to do their credit. So I had to become a student of credit repair. Self-employed borrowers. A lot of self-employed borrowers are pretty tough, as everybody knows, to get approved. So I found niche products for them. And today's world, it's called a non-QM, but back then it was alternative financing. We found ways to get them approved. So overall, I started to learn to be their financial advisor, to give them guidance. And so at that point, as the market started to improve slowly, I became basically a financial advisor to my buyers. Besides, I was an advisor, I was a lender, I was a realtor. I just didn't talk about buying and selling. I would sit down with them and take a look at their financial situation, educate them on budgeting, educate them on savings, educate them on debt, good and bad debt, on credit. And so this system helped me develop a big time referral system because a lot of people appreciated that. They felt that I cared for them, not just wanted to sell them a house. So at that point, I ran with that system. I improved it, developed it where I would get face to face with everybody and sit down and we would go over their financial situation. We wouldn't just go over the home buying process or the loan buying process. We would look everything. What are your car payments? What are your savings accounts? What are your cash flow monthly? I mean, we went over everything with them. And so at that point, it was a pretty good system. We developed a lot of referrals. At that point, I didn't have to market because I was just getting referrals and referrals and referrals. It was a good thing. So for a while there, my assistant and I, we only took appointments, referrals only. That was our thing because again, we spent a lot of time with them. We educated them. There was a process. And so in order to get in this process, I had to be focused. And I had to basically work by referral only. Okay. And then change happened again. Okay. It never seems to amazing. Once you get in your groove, once you start humming, once you start relaxing, getting comfortable, bam, something happens again. Okay. It's always going to happen. And that's what I tell new agents and even the veterans who ask, prepare for change. Always keep it in the back of your mind. Learn new skills. You've got to be ready because it's going to happen again. So in 2020, you know what happened? COVID, the world stopped. No more showings, virtual showings. I couldn't meet with buyers face to face anymore. Okay, I lost that connection. We were doing phone calls or Zoom calls. They were still good, but they weren't just the same as meeting somebody face to face. So at that point, and then I noticed social media blew up. And I'm going to admit, I totally missed the boat on social media. Okay, that was my old school saying, if I just lean into my database, stay comfortable, and continue to do things that have always got me through recessions, then I will be fine. I will still thrive. But nope, that's not the case. I started to notice in 2021 that my referrals were being less and less coming from my database. Why? Is because social media affected my database. Social media started biting into my referrals, eating up my database referrals. So again, I was in another situation, change. Either I continue to do what I do or change and find a new way to do business. And that's why I reached out and I joined Keller Williams at that point. Another big change for me, because at that point I was working at a small real estate broker shop. It's called the Michael Group. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a small office, no support, no training. You're on your own. It's just a transaction fee office. I worked there for 12 years. So at that point I said, I need change. I need a brand. I need support. I need training. I need to be open to new ways to do business. So again, change happened in 2021 and I came over to Keller Williams.
And we're so thankful you did.
Yeah, and I'm thankful for that because again, it taught me a new way to do business. It opened my mind and made me realize, wow, I was on an island by myself. I didn't realize the big world of real estate. And so I've been honestly overwhelmed with all the training, but it's been good for me and my assistant. So we've been successful in trying to implement new systems, new marketing strategies, new processes, and say we are continuing to drive. But I guess telling this story, Ben, is I want to make sure everybody understands if you're new and old, change is going to happen. And our industry is facing a big one here in July. Okay. So I'd like to give some advice to people that are out there that are afraid of this change. So in order to conquer change, you've got to accept it. You can't deny it. It's inevitable. Number two is you got to be courageous. You got to be strong-minded. You got to go back and realize, why am I in this business in the first place? Okay. And I did that because I said, look, I'm in this business to help and serve people. And then you have to realize that you're good at it. You've been doing this for a long time. Have that confidence that no matter what change comes down the road, that you're a good agent. You help people. You know how to do this because the processes are not going to change. It's just the market's going to shift on you. So I encourage everybody to adapt to change, adapt a strong mindset, remember their confidence, study the market, become a student of the market again, because I am always constantly telling myself, I need to read, I need to attend seminars, I need to attend training. Even though I've been 30 years in the business, this market will always continue to change. So everybody, we have to work harder when it gets hard. That's it. Work harder when it gets hard because change is inevitable. Okay. And growth is optional. I think I read a quote like that by John Maxwell that said that, and it really stuck with me. That says, whenever I face a challenge, whenever I face change, I got to grow. I got to push through it. And that's what I've been doing all these years.
Joe, I'll tell you, that's all powerful. With change, I think one of the quotes that I'm pretty fortunate that I guess I'm credited now with three. And, you said, work hard. My quote is, do hard things to achieve hard success. Right. And now we know. And I think even here in our office, we've got contests to kind of front load our business between now and in July, because I think we've got a very aggressive listing goal. And hopefully the individuals and teams on this call have the same. Because if we're crushing it with inventory by July, August, September, we won't really be stressing like others. And I think that's why, one, I wanted you on because I've seen so much growth in just the last 2 years that I've got a chance to know you. And knowing the change, I've seen you step into a leadership role here. And that was different. That was different for you.
It's different. Another change.
Another change.
thing.
Yes.
And I've talked about this before. I love my comfort zone,
Yeah.
and every time I get into it, I have to realize comfort zone's not growing. I got to do something different. So I was very appreciative of Teresa to reach out for me and say, "Hey, come join the LC leadership group." And yeah, I joined it because again, I need to change. Change is happening. I need to get out of this comfort zone that I seem to fall back in, and it keeps moving me forward.
Well, and I think when you reached out to me, I told you there's so many people here that need to see and hear you. And that's why I'm so glad that you're there. So keep leading, keep doing the damn thing because you're doing it big. Yeah, you beat me last year, which I love. I love.
I didn't.
And yeah, you know how that gets.
Yeah, I
So
know.
that's
Oh,
all
you're
right.
fair.
Again, that's the
I know
competitor in
I
us.
know you weren't happy with that.
Yeah, it's okay. That's all right. Do it again. Do it again.
Okay. Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
you're one of the. Hey, I respect you a lot. When I joined, I heard all about you, and I'll be honest, I had a goal that's like, I'm going to beat that guy. So you can make me stronger. You make me get up every day and make the calls I don't want to make because I know you're doing.
Well, and again, we do it together. And that's what I love about not just Dallas Preston Road, but I think this company in general. We've got so many Eagles that are on it. A matter of fact, I'm looking at about 16, 18, 20 of them that are all big time producers. And we all support and love on each other. There's no animosity here, man. We want the best for everybody. So keep learning, keep growing, keep stretching. And again, strong, courageous, confidence, right? Those are things that I heard. And truly, if we don't bring that to the table today, then we're going to be left behind in the dust. And that's not where we aspire to be or even deserve to be. So I would tell you, my brother, just keep leading us. And now, final thing. Talk to me about you know what, you're like the beefcake, you're the cover boy of the real producer. So touch briefly on again how that came about. And again, I think you're so deserving. Talk to me about that briefly.
Well, it came about with I attended a class, a social media class. Like I said, I'm not comfortable with social media. I need to learn it, so I forced myself to take a class. And Julie, Atmos, I think that's her name. She works for Pro Producers. She's the one who taught it. So I've been attending everything she's been putting out there. And then so she interviewed me for one of the magazines, just top 500 agents, because I believe I started in 2021 being their top agent until now. And so after talking with her, meeting with her, and I told her my story, she thought it was very interesting and said, "Hey, I'm going to nominate you. What are your numbers like?" And, I never thought my numbers would be there. So I reluctantly, yeah, here they are over the last few years. And it impressed her and it impressed Jordan. And so they reached out to me. I told them my story and they liked it. So that's how it happened.
There it is. Well, again,
Uh,
I look forward to seeing you at the event because I just got the notice, I think, yesterday.
yeah, I'll
Right?
be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'll
but
definitely be there.
well,
So
again, I think
yeah.
your numbers are impressive, Joe, and I can tell you as we depart, the balance between your real estate and the loan origination side, I had no clue that you were still doing those type of numbers, and I think that's what you bring to the table is a vast knowledge of both. Clearly, that's helped you in this arena because I think you are an advisor, you're an educator, right? You're a counselor. Hell, I'd love to. You should do, Janice, if you're still on, you should do a very brief class about how you can blend and mix the two, even if you don't hold a loan originator, license. I think you can teach us a couple of things to help nurture, especially first-time home buyers, to make them feel comfortable, right? So that they're willing now to take this journey into home ownership because you know what, you've led the way and you've educated them. So step up.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Well, keep that in mind. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Yeah, because again, I first time home buyers look at us as the experts. So we have to be And mortgage is a big part of it. So we have to have at least a strong basic foundation knowledge of how the mortgage works. So you can have these conversations with buyers. And so you can give them the confidence they need to say, okay, if I go with you, I'm in good hands. You're not just going to sell me a house. You're going to guide me through the process. And a mortgage is a big part of it.
I love it. I love it. As we leave, is there anything else that you want to leave us with that I didn't hit you with that you want folks to know about the Joe?
Well, I'm, 2 years into Keller Williams. Plan to be here for as long as they'll have me. But would love to continue to do these kinds of things and meet people at the office. I know I office outside of Keller Williams' main office, but if you ever need anything, reach out to me. I will be more than happy to discuss my experience with you because I've seen it all. In 30 years, I've seen every kind of deal, every kind of situation. I think I'm always learning something new. So I'll be more than happy to help anyone. My door's always open.